Sometimes the deepest truths about our reality, they aren't hiding in some fancy physics lab or an ancient, dusty book. Sometimes you can find them in something as simple as a deck of cards. So yeah, let's dive into this, because today we're going to explore this really strange connection between a card game, a quantum particle, and a pretty profound philosophy.
It really all starts with this question. I know. It sounds a little out there, but you gotta stick with me on this one. We're about to follow a trail of clues that suggests something kind of wild. The more you try to force something to happen, the more it just slips right through your fingers. And our first clue, it comes from this strange, almost unexplainable pattern that people noticed in a simple game of cards.
Okay, so the game is called Climbing the Ranks, and just like in a lot of card games, you've got these special cards that hold all the power. In this case, it's the Jokers. They're the ones everybody wants, the ones that can totally change the outcome of the game.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. Players started noticing something odd. Over and over again, when nobody was really trying or paying super close attention, it seemed like there was an 80% chance that the Jokers would just naturally end up in the hands of the best player. It was almost like the cards knew who was supposed to win.
So naturally, you'd think, okay, let's prove this, right? You could set up an experiment, track all the deals, get some hard data. But here's the crazy part, the puzzle. The moment you try to consciously measure it, the pattern just disappears. Poof! The Jokers stop going to the top player. The very active watching for it changes the outcome. So what on earth is going on here?
Well, to find an answer, we actually have to leave the card table entirely and step into the super bizarre world of quantum mechanics.
So in quantum physics, there's this famous kind of mind-bending concept called the observer effect. And it states something that's going to sound really familiar. The very act of measuring or observing something fundamentally changes the thing you're trying to measure.
And this is the perfect way to picture it. Take a photon, a tiny little particle of light. When no one's looking, it kind of acts like a spread-out wave of all its possibilities. But the moment you try to measure it, to pin it down and see where it is, it collapses into a single, solid particle. Your observation forces it to pick a side.
Sound familiar? I mean, look at this parallel. It's wild. On one side, you've got the photon, changing its whole nature just because it's being watched. And on the other, you've got the Jokers from our card game. When the game is just casual, unintentional, they flow to the top player. But the second it becomes a conscious, observed experiment, that flow just stops. It's the same principle playing out in two completely different worlds.
But this idea isn't just trapped in physics labs and card games, not at all. It's a piece of wisdom that's been understood for centuries in philosophy, and you can see it all over in nature.
There's this ancient Chinese proverb that just captures the idea so beautifully. The flowers you stress over, the ones you try so hard to make perfect, they might not even bloom. But the simple willow branches you just kind of stick in the ground without a second thought, they flourish. They grow into this amazing shade.
So what this is all pointing to, the proverb, the Jokers, the photon, is a fundamental principle from Taoist thought. It's this philosophy that's centered on the Tao, which you can think of as the way or the natural flow of the universe. And a core idea here is that forceful, conscious, desire-driven effort can actually be the very thing that stops you from getting what you want. It can be counterproductive.
Now, if we take this principle seriously, really take it to heart, it leads to some pretty mind-bending conclusions about the world we think we know. So here are 5 conjectures that kind of grow out of this one single idea. Okay, first up, history. What if the official record, the history that's been written down with so much intention and bias, is the exact opposite of what really happened? Then, get this. Think about reality itself. What if everything we sense, what we see, hear, touch, is all shaped by the fact that we're perceiving it, making it kind of an illusion? The third one, well, that's the heart of our story today, that our conscious, desire-driven efforts might actually push us in the opposite direction. So if that's true, then what's the alternative? Well, that leads to number 4. Living without that deliberate, forceful intention is what actually aligns us with the Tao, with the natural way of things. And finally, number 5. Maybe the ultimate goal isn't to strive to become something else, but to simply live out your own true nature. That is the highest form of unity we can find.
So it all brings us back to this final question, doesn't it? We're all taught to try harder, to focus, to control every little outcome. But what if the Jokers and the photons and those willow branches are all telling us the same thing? That maybe, just maybe, the greatest success doesn't come from grabbing on tighter, but from having the wisdom to just let go.